The last time I received an ambassador was last month. I received 10 ambassadors at Itamaraty at once, and I told Minister Moro, from now until the election, I will not receive any other ambassadors. Only after the election will I receive an ambassador from any country in the world. No one should think they can interfere from the outside to influence our elections. If they want to do that in another country, let them. Here in Brazil, they won't.
Brazilian Foreign Ministry called our Argentine ambassador in Brazil, where it determined that relations are at the level of charge d'affaires and also asked that our ambassador leave Brazil. That is a unilateral decision by Brazil that we regret. And frankly, it is also regrettable that, in some way, they complain about interference in electoral processes when President Lula himself visited. Prior to last year's elections, President Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner during her house arrest. And on our part, there was no problem of any kind nor any complaint of interference. These are, in a way, the rules of the game.
The last time I received an ambassador was last month. I received 10 ambassadors at Itamaraty at once, and I told Minister Moro, from now until the election, I will not receive any other ambassadors. Only after the election will I receive an ambassador from any country in the world. What happened? The United States did not prioritize appointing an ambassador to Brazil. They have been in power for a year and a half and haven't sent anyone here. Then they try to send one and think we are obliged to set the date they want. That's not right. It's not possible. We want to be treated with respect. Well, we held our ground. Then he took the step of revoking our ambassador's visa. If she travels from there to here, she will have to apply for a visa again. See? He took this measure, which I consider irresponsible and reckless. No one should think they can interfere from the outside to influence our elections. If they want to do that in another country, let them. Here in Brazil, they won't. Now, if they want to come here, if the Secretary of State wants to come campaign for my opponent, he is welcome. In fact, I think it would be good. Let him come and give speeches, because I want to defeat all of them together in the election. Now, with all due respect, I'm not one for empty boasts. The reality is this. The Brazilian people are the ones who decide in our country. I am the one who governs this country. Instead of questioning our voting machines, they should copy our system. They should ask us to bring the machines so they can hold an electronic election, so they can see we are at the forefront of electoral modernity. So, in short, we cannot accept interference. But I'm not in politics to contest an election. The election is simply the result of a goal I set for my life. I believed it was possible to change the union's history, and we did. I believed it was possible to create a party when no one else did, and we created a political party. So, for me, politics is a cause. It turns out there is someone in the United States who doesn't pay taxes here and says whatever they want. They spread whatever message they feel like, you know? There's also a lot of pornography and a lot of garbage circulating on the internet. That's why we need to think seriously about this. Then the United States criticizes us, claiming we want to punish their companies. We don't want to punish them. What we want is for a US company to be able to come to Brazil with the same rights as a Brazilian, Chinese, Swedish, British, or any other company. But there are laws here. There's a country and a government. I spoke with Putin and Xi Jinping. Meet, for God's sake. You are the most important members of the Security Council. You represent some of the world's greatest economic and military powers. Meet and put an end to this conflict, because the money needed for education goes to war, the money for healthcare goes to war, and the money for people's development goes to war. Let's put an end to this. I don't know if it will work, but at least I made that appeal.
The Brazilian Foreign Ministry called our Argentine ambassador in Brazil, where it determined that relations are at the level of charge d'affaires and also asked that our ambassador leave Brazil. That is a unilateral decision by Brazil that we regret. In recent years, there have been statements from both sides that make clear that political difference and that ideological difference. Argentina has decided, in each of those episodes from Brazil, not to take this to a diplomatic stage. Look, in any dispute or confrontation, it takes two to fight. Argentina regrets Brazil's unilateral decision. We believe that is not the way. We are always willing to maintain relations. As I said recently in an interview, on our side there will be no diplomatic action in response to what Brazil does. Brazil has every right to make the decisions it makes. We will continue to maintain relations at the level that Brazil decides. So, it takes two to fight. Don't count on Argentina for that. We are waging a battle for the ideas of freedom. That is the only thing we are doing. Brazil decides and has every right to decide what it has decided. We regret it because we understand there's another way to preserve relations between our countries. And frankly, it is also regrettable that, in some way, they complain about interference in electoral processes when President Lula himself visited, prior to last year's elections, President Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner during her house arrest. And on our part, there was no problem of any kind nor any complaint of interference. These are, in a way, the rules of the game. President Lula, your government has also hurled insults at our president, which have not been answered, and I also think it is more a substantive issue than one of form. That is, the substantive issue is that we have profound ideological differences. The region is also changing direction ideologically. We welcome that, and we hope that will also happen in Brazil. It is a wish expressed by the President Javier Milei.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a banking dynasty meets tides of world history, intrigue, and a dash of myth?
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.